This story is titled, My Pervert Ex-Boyfriend Secretly Filmed and Sold Our Private Moments. When I confronted him, he said it was no big deal. Hey everyone! Before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now let's start the video. Y'all need to hear this because I still can't wrap my head around it. My now ex-boyfriend, a 32 male, secretly filmed our private moments, sold them online, and when I confronted him, he had the audacity to say, "It's just the modern way of making money." So this is probably going to sound insane, but here goes. I'm a 29-year-old female, and I was dating this guy, Jason, 32 male, for a little over a year. We met at a mutual friend's barbecue. He was charming, funny in that kind of awkward way. I thought he felt safe, I guess. I really thought he was different from the usual guys I'd dated. Jason wasn't some ultra-smooth guy or anything. He had a regular 9-to-5 working in IT. He liked gaming, watching football, the usual dude hobbies. I'm a project coordinator, so my life's pretty structured, and I liked that Jason was chill, easygoing, and not a high-maintenance boyfriend. The first 6 months were actually perfect. We'd have lazy Sundays watching bad reality TV, cheap dinner dates because we both weren't rolling in money, and I swear I thought this guy was the one. But about 4 months ago, I started noticing little things, like his phone. Jason used to be pretty relaxed with his phone. He'd leave it on the couch, charging in the kitchen, wherever. But suddenly, it was always face down. And anytime it lit up, his hand shot out like it was a grenade about to go off. If I glanced over when it buzzed, he'd pull it toward him like I was trying to hack into the Pentagon. I remember one night, we were watching a movie, and his phone buzzed like 3 times in a row. I half joked, "You cheating on me or what?" He laughed it off. "Nah, just stupid work stuff." But work? This guy worked IT for a small office, not NASA. He wasn't the type to get middle-of-the-night emergencies. It felt weird, you know? Like I wasn't searching for red flags, but it was starting to feel like one big red bedsheet waving in front of me. Then there was the money. We both struggled with bills sometimes. Rent, groceries, car insurance. But suddenly, Jason started acting like he had money to burn. He was buying a bunch of random tech gadgets for his gaming setup, paid for dinner 3 times in a row, which never happened. Jason suddenly had cash to drop on $300 sneakers. This man wore Walmart flip-flops for 6 months straight. Who did he think he was, Kanye? So I asked, "Where's all this money coming from?" He gave me this nonchalant answer. "Oh, I've got a side hustle going. Nothing big. Just helping people with tech stuff." I don't know why, but the way he brushed it off, like he didn't want me asking questions, made my stomach drop. And I get it. Everyone deserves their privacy, but when someone starts hiding shit, you start wondering why. And yeah, I tried to convince myself it wasn't a big deal. Maybe he really was just making extra cash, fixing people's computers, or setting up their Wi-Fi. But at the same time, my gut wouldn't shut up about it. It was like this constant gnawing feeling that something was wrong. Fast forward to last month. I still remember everything about that night because it's etched into my brain like a damn horror movie. We'd spent the day running errands together. Boring weekend couple stuff. Jason passed out on the couch early because apparently Costco trips are exhausting. His phone was right there, face down as usual. And I swear to God, it was like it was daring me to look at it. I hate that I even thought about it. I knew it was crossing a line, but something inside me just wouldn't let it go. So yeah, I grabbed his phone while he was snoring on the couch, and that's when my world flipped upside down. The first thing I noticed was a folder in his photos, not even hidden properly. It was like he thought I was stupid enough not to suspect him, so he didn't bother covering his tracks. You know how on iPhones there's that hidden folder? Yeah, it was right there. My hands were already shaking as I clicked it, feeling like I was doing something terrible, but I had to know. And that's when I saw the videos. Dozens of them. Videos of us. Private moments. Moments where I had no idea a camera was on. Videos that were filmed from weird angles. His nightstand, behind his laptop, even from his effing dresser. My brain couldn't even process what I was seeing. My face, my body, my voice. Things that were supposed to be between us. I started panicking, clicking through, trying to figure out what the hell was going on. That's when I noticed the screen recordings of transactions. Money coming in. Notifications from some site I didn't recognize. Something with subscriptions. And then it hit me. Jason had been posting these videos online. He was selling our private moments to strangers on the internet for money. I wanted to throw up. My whole body felt like it wasn't mine anymore. I kept scrolling, Comments from subscribers talking about me like I was some damn object they bought. Details about my body, what they liked about me. I saw Jason replying to them, engaging like this was some kind of sick hobby. He was even pretending to be single, using a fake name, faking a whole life. And then, the panic got worse. We lived in a small, conservative town, the kind of place where everyone knew everyone. Word spread like wildfire here. What if someone I knew saw this? What if my coworkers stumbled across it? Or one of my neighbors? I thought about people I'd gone to college with, people I ran into at the grocery store or waved to on the street. If they found these videos, my face plastered across the internet, I wouldn't just lose my dignity. I'd lose everything. I couldn't breathe. I wanted to wake him up right then and there, slap him, scream at him, something. But I was so overwhelmed I just sat there on the floor, holding his phone, shaking like a leaf. I don't know how long I stayed like that before I finally got up. I grabbed my keys and drove to my friend's place in my pajamas. I remember her opening the door, half asleep, and me just bursting into tears the second I saw her. I couldn't even get the words out at first. When I told her, she sat there in shock. "You're kidding," she said. "Please tell me you're effing kidding." I wasn't. That night, I didn't sleep at all. I just sat there replaying everything in my head, trying to figure out how the guy I trusted could betray me like that. I kept asking myself, who the hell was I even dating? That was the night everything changed. Walking back into that apartment was probably the hardest thing I've ever done. My friend had offered to come with me, but I couldn't. This was my fight, and as much as I felt sick to my stomach just thinking about seeing Jason's face again, I had to do it alone. I didn't just want answers, I wanted to watch him squirm. When I pushed the door open, the apartment was too quiet. Jason was sitting at the kitchen table, hunched over his phone like always, scrolling through something as he sipped his coffee. Seeing him so normal, so calm, made my blood boil. How could he just sit there like nothing happened? He looked up when he heard the door close. "Hey, where'd you go last night?" His voice was casual, almost cheerful, like we hadn't just crossed into full-on nightmare territory. I didn't say anything. I just stood there, staring at him. My heart was hammering. My fingers clenched around my phone so tight, I thought it might crack. Finally, I managed to speak. "What the F is this?" I held up my phone, the screen displaying one of the videos I'd found. Jason froze, mid-sip. For a second, he looked like a deer caught in headlights. Just pure panic. He set his mug down, his hands suddenly fidgeting like he didn't know what to do with them. "Where did you get that?" "Where do you think I got it, Jason?" My voice cracked. "I saw everything. The videos, the site, the comments, all of it. What the hell is wrong with you?" He stood up so quickly the chair scraped across the floor. "Why are you looking through my phone?" he shot back, as if I had done something wrong. "That's my personal stuff. His personal stuff." I stared at him, completely dumbfounded. "Are you effing serious right now? You filmed me without my consent. You posted me online for money. And you're mad I went through your phone?" He opened his mouth like he was about to argue, then shut it again. He had no comeback for that, and we both knew it. Instead, he let out this deep sigh, like I was exhausting him. "Look," he said, his voice clipped. "It's not that big of a deal. It's not like anyone knows it's you. Not that big of a deal." I felt like I'd been punched in the chest. I couldn't even believe the words coming out of his mouth. "Not that big of a deal?" I repeated, my voice shaking. "You sold videos of me to strangers. How is that not a big deal?" He groaned and started pacing like I was the one being unreasonable. "Listen, nobody knows it's you, so it's fine. Mike told me about the site. It's easy money. Everyone does this now. You're acting like I robbed a bank." Mike. The mention of his best friend's name made my stomach drop. I stared at Jason, completely stunned. "Mike? What does Mike have to do with this?" Jason looked at me like I was stupid. "Mike's the one who told me about it. He's been doing this for months. He said it's no big deal, so I tried it. I didn't think you'd care." My knees felt weak. Jason's best friend, Mike, the guy who sat on our couch, drank with Jason, and gave me advice about which car insurance to get, was part of this? I'd smiled at Mike, laughed at his stupid jokes, and now all I could think about was whether he'd seen the videos too. I felt humiliated just standing there. "You didn't think I'd care?" I hissed. My voice was louder now, shaking from the anger bubbling up inside me. "You didn't think I'd care that your best friend, hell, God knows who else, has probably seen me naked? Do you have any idea how disgusting that is?" Jason finally stopped pacing. He turned to me, and for the first time, I saw something ugly flicker in his eyes. Annoyance. Like he was tired of having to explain himself to me. "You're overreacting," he said flatly. "It's just content. People make way too big of a deal out of stuff like this. Nobody got hurt. If you'd calm down, you'd see that. I swear. Something inside me snapped right then. Content. He called it content. Like my body, my privacy, my dignity were just products for him to sell to the highest bidder. I grabbed the nearest thing I could find, his half-empty coffee mug, and hurled it across the room. It hit the wall and shattered, hot coffee dripping down the paint like it was bleeding. Jason jumped, his eyes wide with shock. "What the hell is wrong with you? What's wrong with me?" I screamed. "What's wrong with you, Jason? You're disgusting." He threw his hands up in frustration. "I was trying to help us out. We needed the money. What's the big deal?" "We needed the money?" I shot back, my voice shaking with anger. "You gave me nothing, Jason. Not a single cent. That money was all yours. You needed it. Not us. Don't pretend this was for me." Jason's face twisted like he wanted to argue more, but I didn't give him the chance. I grabbed my bag off the floor and headed straight for the door. "Where are you going? You're being crazy. Don't be like this." I turned around at the door, my hand on the knob, and stared at him one last time. "I'm done, Jason," I said, my voice shaking. "You're going to pay for this. I'll make sure of it." He scoffed, crossing his arms over his chest like a bratty teenager. "Yeah, right. What are you going to do? You don't even have proof." "Proof." I felt my lip curl into something that wasn't quite a smile. "Oh, don't worry. I have plenty of proof." And with that, I walked out. The second I stepped outside, I sat in my car, gripping the steering wheel and shaking so hard I thought I might throw up. I couldn't go back to that apartment. I couldn't look at him ever again. But one thing was clear. Jason wasn't getting away with this. Not this time. That night. I sat in my car for a while, parked outside my friend's apartment, staring blankly at the dashboard. My head was spinning so fast I thought I might pass out. The words Jason had thrown at me, "It's just content. Nobody got hurt," kept playing on repeat in my mind. At some point, I must have looked as bad as I felt because my friend came out, tapping on the car window. I barely remember getting out or sitting on her couch, wrapped in one of those soft blankets she always kept around. "What happened?" she asked, kneeling in front of me. "I confronted him," I said, my voice hoarse. "He said I'm overreacting, that it's just a way to make money. He doesn't even think it's wrong." She was quiet for a moment, her expression switching between shock and rage, but before she could say anything, I spoke first. "I'm reporting him," I said, my voice firm. My hands were shaking, but I didn't care. "What he did is illegal. He doesn't just get to film me without my consent and sell me off like I'm nothing. I'm not letting him get away with this." My friend stared at me for a second, almost like she was surprised by how sure I was. "Are you sure?" she asked quietly. "I have to be," I replied, looking her dead in the eye. "I don't care how hard it is to explain this to the police, or how humiliating it feels. He needs to pay for what he did." By morning, I was ready to make sure Jason faced the consequences. Walking into the police station, I stayed focused on what I had to do. My friend came with me for support, but I handled it. I told the officer everything, what Jason had done, the videos, and the evidence. When the officer finally called me into a room and told him everything, his face was hard. "You did the right thing reporting this. What he did is illegal." That was all I needed to hear. They said they'd open an investigation, but it could take time. Fine. I wasn't going anywhere, and I sure as hell wasn't backing down. While I waited, my friend put me in touch with a lawyer who specialized in cases like this. Sitting in her office, I expected her to treat me like just another client, but she didn't. She listened, like really listened, and when I was done, she didn't mince words. "Don't worry, everything will be handled professionally, and your privacy will be protected throughout this. You're in good hands." She laid out the plan: paperwork, evidence submission, and a civil lawsuit for invasion of privacy and emotional distress. It was overwhelming, but I signed everything she put in front of me. Jason must have found out pretty quickly because 2 nights later, he started blowing up my phone. The guy who had smugly told me I was overreacting was suddenly all remorse. "Jason, please, just talk to me." "Jason, I'm sorry, okay? I'll delete everything. I'll give you all the money I made. Just drop this, babe. You don't have to do this." I actually laughed at that, bitter and sharp. The money? I hadn't seen a single dime. Jason wasn't helping us. He was helping himself. "Jason, you're going to ruin my life over this? It was a mistake. I'm going to lose everything because you can't move on." I couldn't believe it. The audacity. I wasn't the one who'd set up a subscription site. I wasn't the one who filmed someone without their consent. But sure, I was the problem. It didn't stop there. Jason's lawyer contacted mine, pulling the dirtiest move yet. Apparently, when Jason and I signed our lease together, he'd tacked on some random clause about shared media rights. It was buried at the bottom in fine print. So stupid and vague, it was laughable. But now they were twisting it, trying to make it look like I'd consented to the recordings. My lawyer didn't even blink. Oh, nice try. That won't hold for 10 seconds. When my lawyer told me, I just sat there for a second, stunned. Are you serious? I asked. She didn't even flinch. It's a scare tactic. Don't let them get in your head. Jason thought he could bully me into backing down, but he underestimated me. I wasn't scared of him anymore. If anything, every dirty move he tried just reminded me why I was doing this. But just when I thought it couldn't get worse, Jason's best friend Mike decided to crawl out of whatever hole he'd been hiding in. He texted me out of nowhere. Mike, can we talk? I think you're making this a bigger deal than it is. Bigger deal? My blood boiled. This was the same guy Jason admitted had shown him the site. The guy who sat in my living room acting like a friend while knowing what Jason was doing. Mike knew and hadn't said a damn word. Me. Are you serious? You knew what he was doing, and you didn't think it was a big deal? Mike, it's not what you think. I just showed him the site. I didn't tell him to post your stuff. That was his choice. Me. You think that makes it better? You showed him how to make money doing this, and you didn't care that I never agreed to any of it. You're just as disgusting as he is. Mike left me on read after that. I didn't wait for another reply. I blocked his number without hesitation. Whatever excuse he thought he had, I didn't want to hear it. I showed my lawyer the texts, and she raised an eyebrow. These are pretty direct. He's not even trying to hide it. She told me to ignore it, but I couldn't let it go. That night, I sat scrolling through old messages between Mike and me, him asking about my job, cracking jokes, pretending to be normal. And the entire time, he knew. He probably thought it was funny. Maybe he thought I'd never find out, or worse, that I wouldn't care. That's the part that stuck with me the most. These weren't strangers hiding behind anonymous usernames. These were people I knew. Jason, Mike, people who sat at my table, ate my food, and smiled in my face. That's when I started feeling angry. Really angry. The investigation dragged on, but I didn't care how long it took. Every time Jason pulled another trick, like trying to play victim, like blaming me for ruining his life, it just fueled me more. I wasn't backing down, not this time. He wanted to sell me? Fine. I'd make damn sure he paid for every cent he made off me and then some. The next day, the police reached out. They had officially questioned Jason. My heart was racing as I sat down across from the investigator, trying to listen as they explained what was happening. Jason admitted to posting the videos, the officer said, glancing down at his notes. He claimed it was a way to make extra income and that he didn't think it would cause any harm. He said you didn't seem to mind the camera being on. I felt my hands clench into fists. That's not true, I snapped. I didn't know. I never agreed to this. The officer nodded. We believe you. That should have been reassuring, but it didn't feel like the end. Days turned into weeks, and Jason's harassment only got worse. At first, it was texts, endless messages flipping between apologies and blame. Jason, please, just talk to me. Jason, I didn't mean any harm. We can fix this, okay? When I didn't respond, his tone got nastier. Jason, you're ruining my life. I hope you know that. Jason, you think people are going to believe you? I'll make sure everyone hears my side. I blocked his number. I thought that would be the end of it, but it wasn't. The next morning, I opened my front door to leave for work and nearly tripped over a package on the porch. My name was scrawled on it in black marker. I froze before finally opening it, and my stomach turned. Inside was a handwritten note. You will regret it. I panicked and took a picture of the note and went to work. Later that day, Jason showed up outside my work. I spotted him as I was walking to my car, leaning against a lamppost like he had all the time in the world. He didn't say anything, just stood there, staring. Before I even got into my car, a new text came in from an unknown number. Unknown. You can ignore me, but I'll make sure everyone at your work knows exactly who you are. I'll post the videos for everyone to see. My stomach dropped. I felt like I couldn't breathe. He wasn't just harassing me now. He was threatening to blow up my entire life. I didn't even think twice. I drove straight to my lawyer's office. When I walked in without an appointment, my lawyer looked up, immediately concerned. What happened? I dropped my phone on her desk, my voice shaking as I explained. He's showing up at my work now. He left a package at my house, and now this. I showed her the text, and her face hardened as she scrolled through the messages. This is harassment and blackmail. We're getting you a restraining order today. She walked me through the process, step by step, filing with the court, gathering the texts, the photos of him at my work, the package on my doorstep. She made sure we included everything. He thinks these threats will make you back down, she said, her voice calm but sharp. They won't. This stops now. The restraining order was approved quickly. Jason was officially barred from contacting me, showing up near my home, or coming anywhere close to my work. But of course, Jason still didn't get it. 2 days later, my friend and I spotted his car parked across the street from her apartment. He wasn't doing anything, just sitting there, watching. I didn't hesitate. I took a picture of his car, his license plate, and called the police. Restraining order violation, I said when the officer picked up. My lawyer followed up with the police that same day to make sure they were taking it seriously. When I told her I was exhausted from it all. Keep documenting everything. If he keeps pushing, this will only make his punishment worse. I need him to realize that he'd picked the wrong person to mess with. Of course, he had been trying everything to weasel his way out of it. The threats had stopped after my restraining order went through, but I knew he was scrambling. His lawyer was spinning every ridiculous argument under the sun. She consented. The videos didn't show her face. It did. There's no evidence of emotional damage. It didn't matter. The evidence we had was airtight. His phone records, my saved screenshots, transaction receipts from the website, and his damn messages where he'd basically confessed. The day of the court hearing, I felt like I was carrying 100 pounds of bricks on my chest. I wore a plain black dress, nothing fancy, and sat in that stiff chair, watching Jason walk in with his lawyer. I hadn't seen him in weeks, and seeing him there, so calm, made my skin crawl. His best friend Mike wasn't there. I'd heard through a mutual acquaintance that Mike had been keeping a low profile after the police visited him. Apparently, Jason had tried throwing Mike under the bus at one point, but Mike turned it right back around, insisting he'd only introduced the idea and had nothing to do with the execution. Cowards, both of them. Jason wouldn't look at me, not once. Instead, he whispered with his lawyer, kept his hands clasped like he was the victim here. Seeing him sit there like he hadn't completely shattered my trust and violated me, it lit a fire inside me I didn't know I had. My lawyer was incredible. She ripped Jason's weak arguments apart like they were tissue paper. She presented the evidence with cold, calm precision. The videos, the transactions, Jason's messages to me where he'd admitted to what he did and why he did it. When the screenshots of the disgusting comments from strangers were displayed, I didn't look at them. I kept my eyes on my lap, my nails digging into my palms, but I heard the murmurs in the room. Then Jason's lawyer tried pulling the shared media clause trick, the ridiculous line Jason snuck into our lease agreement. My lawyer was ready. This clause was included without the victim's explicit knowledge or informed consent, she said, her voice clear and unwavering. Furthermore, it does not legally apply to recordings made without her awareness. This was manipulation, plain and simple. The judge agreed. I couldn't help but glance at Jason when that happened. His face had gone pale. Jason was found guilty of invasion of privacy and unlawful distribution of intimate content. The civil lawsuit ruled in my favor, and while the money didn't matter to me, he was ordered to pay damages for emotional distress. It wasn't a slap on the wrist either. This was going to hurt him. A lot. But that wasn't the best part. The criminal case ended with Jason getting a sentence, community service, a hefty fine, and his name put on record for what he'd done. He didn't go to prison. Part of me wished he had. But the damage to his reputation was already done. His job? Gone. They fired him the second his name hit the news. His friends? Most of them bailed when they realized what he'd done, especially after Mike started running his mouth to save himself. Jason was completely alone. The best revenge, though, was that his face and his actions became public knowledge. I didn't go to the press or anything like that, but news spreads fast, especially in a community like ours. His family found out. His co-workers found out. Anyone who looked him up online would see exactly what he did. For weeks afterward, I'd get updates from mutual acquaintances. Did you hear? Jason had to move back in with his parents. Jason tried applying to some company, but they found out about the case. Every little update made me feel lighter. It wasn't petty. This was justice. Jason had taken something from me, and I was finally getting it back. I remember the last time I saw him. It wasn't planned. I was at the grocery store with my friend, grabbing stuff for dinner, and there he was, Jason, standing at the self-checkout, wearing an old hoodie and jeans that looked 2 sizes too big. He looked up and saw me, and for a second, we just stared at each other. He looked small, not the arrogant, smug guy I'd confronted that day in our apartment, not the man who told me to chill out and be proud of strangers watching me. He was just small and tired. I turned and walked past him without saying a word. I don't know what he thought in that moment, and honestly, I don't care. Seeing him like that didn't make me feel bad for him. It didn't make me feel sad. It just reminded me that actions have consequences. It's been months now, and my life feels like mine again. I moved to a new apartment. I cut off everyone who tried to defend Jason, and I haven't spoken to Mike or anyone from that old friend group since. I've started seeing a therapist, which has helped me unpack a lot of what happened. I'm working on rebuilding that. It's not easy, but I'm getting there. Sometimes I still think about those videos. I wonder if there's someone out there who saved them, or if they've been deleted completely. I'll never know, and I've had to accept that. And for anyone else who's been through something like this, you're not alone, and you don't have to let them win. People like Jason count on silence. Don't give it to them.